At first glance, narcissists seem powerful. They appear confident, in control, and untouchable. But beneath the surface lies a truth they can never outrun. Their power was never real. It was borrowed from the people who believed in them, the ones who cared enough to feed their illusion. A narcissist's power depends on perception. They build an image so convincing that even they start believing it. They wear charm like armor, using words, attention, and confidence to manipulate the world around them. But the moment people stop reacting, the illusion begins to crack. They mistake control for strength. To them, making others bend is proof of superiority. But real strength isn't about control, it's about authenticity. And authenticity terrifies narcissists, because it exposes their greatest weakness, their dependence on admiration. Their power thrives in silence, your silence. The more you explain, the more they twist. The less you speak, the more their lies lose air. That's the secret they can't face. Their dominance exists only when you believe in it. Every insult, every manipulation, every act of cruelty was never about power. It was about fear. Narcissists live in constant terror of being ordinary. Their arrogance is armor against the emptiness they feel inside. Without someone to mirror back importance, they fade. They feed on reactions. Anger, sadness, love, fear. Any emotion will do. As long as they make you feel something, they matter. But once you stop responding, the illusion dies. Their power dissolves into the one thing they dread most: irrelevance. What they called confidence was just control disguised as charm. They built kingdoms from other people's energy, not realizing borrowed power always runs out. The moment their audience walks away, the throne turns to dust. They often pretend to be fearless, but deep down, they're terrified of exposure, of rejection, of being seen for what they truly are, fragile souls, built on pretense. Their entire identity is a mask, and every lie they tell is just another layer of protection. Their illusion depends on attention. Without someone to validate them, they lose shape. Like shadows, they only exist in the presence of light. And you were that light. The moment you turn away, they disappear into their own darkness. You were never weak for believing in them. They're master illusionists, turning kindness into vulnerability, and empathy into control. But when the illusion breaks, it doesn't just expose their lies, it reveals your strength for finally seeing through them. Narcissists can't live in truth, because truth holds them accountable. They need distortion to survive. That's why they rewrite history, twist facts, and change roles. Hero, victim, savior, anything to stay relevant. Reality is their greatest enemy. Their power was built on your confusion. When you questioned them, they used charm. When you doubted them, they used guilt. When you caught them, they used shame. But once you stop playing, they lose every move. Their control only works in your cooperation. The illusion starts breaking when you stop explaining. Every unanswered message, every ignored insult, every quiet exit steals the fuel they crave, because nothing terrifies a narcissist more than realizing you no longer care what they think. They told themselves you'd never leave, that they had you figured out, but now you're gone. You didn't need to destroy them. You just stopped believing in their story, and that's what ruins them. Not rejection, but irrelevance. Their illusion of power was never self-sustained. It needed admiration to breathe. The moment they lose it, they start gasping. That's when the cracks appear, in their image, in their confidence, in their voice. You can almost hear the silence where your attention used to be. Narcissists often say, "I don't need anyone," but their actions say otherwise. Every move they make is about being seen, admired, or feared. They need eyes on them, like lungs need air. Without it, their identity collapses. The truth they can't escape is this: power that comes from deception always self-destructs. Lies demand maintenance, and eventually, even they grow tired of pretending. Their mask becomes too heavy, their story too hollow, and the applause stops. Behind their confidence is envy. Behind their control is insecurity. Behind their arrogance is shame. Every bit of cruelty they inflicted was an attempt to cover those wounds. They weren't powerful, they were terrified of being powerless. They think they broke you, but really, you woke up. You saw how much energy it took to maintain their ego. You realized that their superiority wasn't strength, it was survival. They needed validation like oxygen, and you stopped supplying it. When you detach, they panic. They might lash out, smear your name, or pretend they've moved on. But it's all noise. Their rage is the sound of an illusion dying. It's not about losing you. It's about losing the control they mistook for love. They can't escape reflection. Every quiet moment reminds them that their power was performance. Without people to admire them, they have no script. Their world collapses in silence because their ego only lives through attention. In their mind, being admired equals existing. That's why they chase praise, even from strangers. They'd rather be hated than forgotten. But when you no longer react, when you disappear from their audience, they face a truth they've avoided all their lives. Their charm fades quickly without believers. The same charisma that once drew people in now feels empty. They repeat the same lines, but no one's clapping. It's the final act of their illusion: power without audience, applause without meaning. Every narcissist believes they're irreplaceable, but time has a way of proving them wrong. People heal, move on, and grow stronger. And when that happens, the narcissist's grand performance loses its stage. They're left talking to an empty room. The illusion they built was always temporary. Power that depends on others is never real. Real power comes from truth, humility, and love, all the things they mocked. That's why they can't escape the truth. Their empire was made of glass. When it finally shatters, they scramble to rebuild it. New mask, new followers, new lies. But each time, the cracks show sooner, because the illusion gets harder to sustain when the audience gets wiser. Their tricks no longer work the same. They fear exposure more than anything. The idea that people might see who they truly are, frightened, insecure, dependent, is unbearable. So they double down on charm, pretending harder, loving louder, lying smoother. But it's all a countdown. Their confidence isn't courage, it's camouflage. They hide behind arrogance to distract from the emptiness inside. And though they seem untouchable, that emptiness always catches up. No mask can protect them from the silence of self-awareness. You'll notice, even when surrounded by people, they look lonely. Because they are. Connection requires honesty, and honesty threatens their illusion. They're surrounded by admirers but starved for authenticity. The one thing they can't fake. The truth that chases them is simple. Their power was never about others obeying. It was about others believing. And once you stop believing, the spell breaks. They can't control what no longer fears them. In time, they realize that manipulation isn't mastery, it's dependency disguised as dominance. They need people more than people ever needed them. That realization, though silent, is their downfall, because it strips away their illusion of superiority. They'll never admit it, but they envy the peace of those who walk away. You move on quietly, grounded and free. Meanwhile, they're stuck searching for the next believer, the next audience to sustain their fading illusion. Every time they meet someone new, they replay the same cycle: idealize, control, discard. But with each repetition, it feels emptier. because deep down, they know the truth now. No one ever stays fooled forever. Their life becomes a performance they can't stop acting in. They're addicted to the applause but terrified of silence, and the silence always returns, louder each time, because deep down, they know the audience isn't clapping anymore. They thought control was power, but it was dependence. They thought admiration was love, but it was convenience. They thought silence meant victory, but it was freedom, yours, not theirs. Every truth they ignored becomes the mirror they can't escape. In quiet moments, they remember the people who saw through them, the ones who stopped playing the game. Those memories sting, not because of loss, but because of exposure. Each one is proof that their power was never real. Their illusion doesn't end in a grand collapse. It fades, slowly, painfully. One person stops believing, then another. The admiration dwindles, the attention shifts, and they're left alone with the one truth they can't manipulate themselves. Even when they try to rebuild, the cracks show. Their stories contradict. Their charm feels forced. People sense the emptiness beneath the surface. The illusion may return for a while, but it never lasts, because truth always wins eventually. They start to sense what they've lost, not the control, but the connection. They realize that real power was never in domination, but in empathy. And empathy is something they traded away long ago for the illusion of superiority. By the time they understand, it's too late. The people who once believed in them are gone. Their apologies sound hollow, their image shattered, and all that remains is silence. The same silence they once used to control others. You can almost feel their emptiness. It's not anger anymore. It's sorrow, buried under pride. They'll pretend to have moved on, but inside, they're haunted by a single truth. The ones they tried to control learned how to live without them. That's the real loss for a narcissist. Not love, not admiration, but relevance. You stop being their mirror, and suddenly they don't know who they are. Because without reflection, their identity disappears. Their downfall isn't dramatic, it's quiet, private, and relentless. It happens in the moments no one sees, when they realize manipulation no longer works, when the phone doesn't ring, when the audience has moved on. The illusion of power was their greatest lie, and like all lies, it demanded too much energy to keep alive. Eventually, even they get tired of pretending. Their charm fades, their control breaks, and their story ends where truth begins. Meanwhile, the people they once hurt rise stronger. You don't need revenge, your peace is proof. Every healed wound, every calm breath, every silent smile is evidence that their power was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Their punishment isn't karma, it's reality. The very truth they ran from becomes their prison. They can lie to others, but not to themselves forever. And the moment they face that truth, the illusion dies completely. They'll keep chasing admiration, hoping to rebuild what's lost. But every new follower, every new admirer feels emptier than the last. Because they know now, attention is temporary, but truth is permanent. You were the reflection that once made them feel powerful. Now you've stepped into your own light. You don't need their approval anymore. And that freedom is what they secretly envy most. You became everything they pretended to be. The truth narcissists can't escape is simple. Power without empathy isn't power. It's dependence. They needed others to feel alive. And when those others finally wake up, the illusion collapses under the weight of its own emptiness. So let them pretend. Let them perform. Their stage is crumbling, and the world has moved on. Because real power doesn't come from control, it comes from peace. And that's the truth they can't manipulate. escape or destroy.